Hey guys, it's Spacey Sims, and we are back with more Cupid Parasite. It's been a few days since I played because I don't really get a chance to play much of this over the weekend. So anyway, we had just started Shelby's route, so we're just continuing. So now we're finally into our first round. I'm very excited. Anyway, generally speaking, sure, but status and looks aren't what matter to me. Right, we're having a flashback. Well, he is. And they aren't. Why is that? Well, because I don't think that's where a person's value comes from. It's what's on the inside that matters most. And for some reason, I recalled that conversation I'd had with her. She was always so straightforward. She was so intent on getting everyone married. It's like she forgot it was just a job. Like she really was the actual Cupid. Wow, you're smarter than you look. Well, no, that's, that's rude. Shelby actually acts and seems pretty smart, aside from about women. But, book smart, but... the weird thing is okay, if Raoul, the himbo, had said this, I would have been like, wow, can't believe he put that together. But at the same time, also not surprised, because, mythology freak. But I'm just surprised Shelby went there, you know what I mean? Instead of being like, that's totally impractical and illogical. We have plenty of passionate employees, of course, but few that had absolutely no regard for their personal advancement. Which is why I had the sudden urge to consult with her. Haha. Up until now, I've only ever talked to Owen about this kind of thing. Yes, that might be good to get a woman's perspective, because Owen is, Owen. I love Owen, don't get me wrong. I want him to be... Owen's my side piece, but, just saying. I got the sense that she knew how to keep a secret, that she wouldn't thoughtlessly vent to others about her personal life. We do know how to keep a secret. I considered whether I should reveal the truth or keep it a secret. After some hesitation, I began typing an email. You should probably tell us this in person. Call us into your office. Call us into your office. Los York Hot News Special. Globalization, affluent, wealthy, moneyed, parasite? Miss Sandy Dawn? Miss Sandy Dawn. Miss Andy Dawn? Miss Sandy? What is this? Now for the latest entertainment news. Oh, is that supposed to actually be the normal news anchor? I saw the reporter over there and I was just... Anyway. Now for the latest entertainment news. Recently, an actress who, due to a recent photo, was a candidate for CC's president... Cupid course. CC's President Snail's wife. Wow. President Snail's what? CC's President Snail's wife. That's a weird fucking phrase. It's like Cupid Corporation's president, Snail's wife. What? But it just... That's one of those phrases where all the words together, you're like, no. I just... Stop. It's weird. I don't know. But... Anyway. Denied it on her Instagram. In contrast, Miss May, a fashion model, has claimed to be his wife, but Mr. Snail has denied it, and people are growing suspicious. Yeah. If this could be a problem. That's definitely her in the picture. I hope she doesn't end up getting dragged into something weird. Yeah, she's like, I know that's you. Several days after all the Parasite 5 had left, other than Monsieur Essay, I was told to return to my normal duties. Let's see, I don't have any meetings planned today, so maybe I'll get in touch with new members with some recommendations. I grabbed the folder with the profile sheets of all the members I was managing. Okay, wow, it took a while. Looking through it, I noticed the old Parasite 5 sheet still stuffed inside. Aww. That reminds me, Mr. Snail said that Monsieur Essay's membership status is currently on hold. I hadn't heard from him in a while, and even Owen hadn't been in touch. So for the time being, I just left it alone. Okay, here, right there. Wait, where is it? Right? People assume I'm a devoted husband, but the fact is, I'm not married. That should be obvious, girl. Read it again. But he's still technically a member, so I should try and find something I can do for him. I heard the chime that told me when I had a new email. I saw that it was from the president. I opened it and the message was pretty simple. He wanted me to come to his office. You could just ping me. I guess you don't have, like, pinging. Could this have something to do with Monsieur Essay? If so, it was perfect timing. I replied telling him I was on my way, then got up to head straight there. Excuse me. Hello. I'm sorry to bother you while you're trying to work. Mr. Snell looked at me from across his desk. He looked much more exhausted than when he'd called me up here at 5 in the morning. So, what did you want to talk to me about? I'll be direct. I am Monsieur Essay. Wow, he just flat... Huh? Sorry, I must have misheard you. You said... I joined the Parasite 5 as Monsieur Essay and hired Owen to represent me. Which means, of course, that I'm not actually married. I mean, she kind of already sussed that. Like, she was like, I kind of figured that one, but then you insisted that it wasn't you, so, okay, wow, I'm confused. The president was part of the Parasite 5? Mr. Snail, who'd become famous for his devotion to his wife, didn't actually have a wife, and was using a matchmaking service? His own, no less. What? You're Monsieur Essay? Wait, it all makes sense now! I was surprised at first, but as soon as I'd heard it, everything fell into place. Thinking about it, Mr. Snail had never really acted like he was married. At Parasite House, he only ever had his jelly drink for breakfast, and he was always answering emails, even mid-conversation. He spent every waking moment working. I always wondered what his wife must be like, and even doubted her existence at times. Is that so? If it's really that obvious, I guess it's about time to call it quits. Call it quits? Did something happen? Well, I was supposed to meet a client for dinner, and he asked me to bring my wife with me. His business is crucial to us, so I've been making up excuses and meeting with him by myself. But I've finally run out of excuses. Just tell him your wife died. End of story. Like, my wife tragically passed, and then no one will ask questions because it's rude. They'll be like, oh, and now you're single again, and then you don't have to deal with it. He always brings his wife with him, so my behavior has been, frankly, dishonest. I decided it's best to just tell him the truth. Huh. You mean you're gonna tell him you're not actually married? Shh! Not so loud, please. Sorry. Hold on. Go away. Stupid things popping up in the notifications on my tablet. I put my hand over my mouth out of nervousness. Mr. Snail sighed. I could hear the exhaustion in his voice. No, it's only natural you're surprised. I'm sorry. You're my employee. I shouldn't be placing this burden on you. Oh, whoops. But the fact is, I feel like I'm completely stuck. I was hoping to pick your brain for any ideas or advice you might have. Ah, I see. Well, why did they think you were married in the first place? Well, it started as a bit of a misunderstanding. Mr. Snail began to explain how it happened. My shoulders hurt. I'm gonna need Alan to give me a nice pillow. It all began around 4 years ago. Oh no, okay. I'm assuming we're supposed to be Shelby, but it should be blue, not pink. Anyway, it all began around 4 years ago, and this would have been when I was 28. He was being interviewed. Oh. Okay, that's weird. It all began around 4 years. This would have been when I was 28, but it's not when we're 28, it's when he was 28. You know what I mean? This would have been when he was 28. I think that's what it should have said. Okay, anyway. He was being interviewed for a TV show, and the host got the mistaken impression that he was married. Since he ran a marriage agency, the host thought Mr. Snail himself must be married, too. But Mr. Snail thought he was talking about the agency's members. Apparently, the whole conversation didn't make a lot of sense. Mr. Duff, Cupid Corps' top ad agency guy, was there, too, and he kept pushing Mr. Snail to keep talking. By the time he realized what was going on, it was too late. It was a live broadcast, so he couldn't exactly take back what he'd said. Walk back what he said? You wouldn't walk back. You take back. What? That's weird. So instead, he took the experience of a recently married friend of his as his own, and the studio ate up the entire thing. Afterwards, social media started talking about what a loving and devoted husband he was. Mr. Duff saw what a huge reaction it was getting, so he just spread even more rumors all over the internet. By that point, it was far too late to turn back. And it just kept going like that day after day up until now. I see. Sounds like you were doomed from the start. So you think so too? He let loose another huge sigh and leaned his elbows on his desk. It started with an honest misunderstanding, but I went along with it in order to help the company. Felt like I was trapped. Anyway, that's basically the whole thing in a nutshell. My problem now is I'm not sure how to respond to this latest invitation. And I always tell them how shy my wife is, or how she's not feeling well that weekend. All my excuses now sound forced and fake. Well, they are forced and fake, so... But of course, as soon as I tell one person outside of the company, it'll spread and eventually the entire city will know. So I've been thinking, maybe I should hold a press conference and announce it there. A press conference? I don't think I might do to... I couldn't say this thought. Later on, I felt like I'm too... I truly thought him in. See, I'm glad that what you did do instead of being like, oh yeah, I died because that... But like, if he did that, then we wouldn't get a romance route. And it'd be like, and then we went on, oh, poor Mr. Hill, his wife died. And then date him thinking he's a widower. Like, after his mourning period, he's like, oh no, I never had a... And you're like, wow, you. Like, this is him just going along with PR stuff, and he's like, I just not married, and like, we were not personally acquainted. He was just our boss, so it's like what our boss does, married life. You know? Okay. If we got to know him with the blah blah lying about being married, and his wife died, but she didn't really die because she wasn't real. That'd be like a weird way to start a relationship. Mr. Snail, Cupid Corps' entire reputation rests on the perception that you're a devoted husband. I can't imagine how many members came to us because knowing the company president was married made them feel reassured. How do you think they'll feel if they find out the truth? You could just say you got divorced, too. If the people who trusted us feel like we betrayed them, it's game over. Our stock could plummet. It might even mean bankruptcy. And if that happened, it would mean my dad was right. I could hear him clear as day gloating and saying, I told you so! That's probably because Owen's got the phone up to the door. But I have evidence that someone's snooping around my private life. If it's gonna come out anyway, better I do it myself. Someone's snooping around? Do you know who? I don't know the details, but I did receive a letter that said simply, you're a scam artist. Well, it's probably Mars. Oh. And there have been a few magazine interviews where people have expressed serious doubts about me being married. Rightly so. I mean, you know, I believe someone out there knows for a fact that I'm not married, and they're on a crusade to expose me. Mr. Snail dropped a magazine down in front of me. The title of the article was President of Cupid Corps, Fraud, Devoted Husband, or Big Fat Liar. How awful. It's not like you intended for any of this to happen. And these people have nothing better to do than go after someone who, as far as they knew, had been happily married for 4 years. And lately they've really started coming out of the woodwork, just as a competitor came on the scene. I hope it's a coincidence, but... I mean, Owen also knows. You know what I mean? I feel like that's Owen and Mars plotting over there. I mean, good money to be a member, you know. You think they'd have some better choices, right? You make a good point. By the by, did you know there's a new marriage agency here in our beloved Lost York? I think it's nice that they actually say the TV reporter is male in this, so you know the voice to give him. Thank you. Oh, yeah, what was it called again? It had some weird name. Anyway, they've got a free trial I was thinking of trying out. It's Mars's agency. That's right, a new marriage agency popped up just recently. It's weird that it's a marriage agency, because it's like, that's not how, you have like dating agency, you know, like dating sites, dating apps, like, you know, marriage apps. I mean, like, okay, well, Some people go and are like, oh, this will be a great way to meet people and find someone that I could spend time with and date and possibly get married. That's usually the end result, right? Unless you're like, I don't want to ever get married, then, fine. But, then they just become like, oh, this is an app to meet someone I can stick my dick in. Well, okay, there goes that. Hoarding assholes have to ruin everything, don't you? Jesus. Anyway. It's too risky to accuse someone without evidence. And there are too many disgruntled former members and other grudge holders. Yeah, you did try to set some of them up with the Parasite. What are you doing? Oh, the birdies being nice and preening each other. You're so cute. They were just being quiet, so it was suspicious. He was right that there were plenty of members who would hold on to the anger of paying their fees and never getting married. There was also that incident with the blog the other day, and plenty of people have been disparaging Cupid Core on the news lately. If they found out the president wasn't married, it'd be like tossing blood in the water. But what if we said that he and his wife had separated or something like that? No, that would cause the same problem. A drop in stock prices and memberships, and the tabloids would have a field day. She died, girl, come on. My next thought was actually trying to find him someone to marry as soon as possible. But we wouldn't be able to reveal who my client works for, and then we're getting into fraud territory. If he got married and then this all came out, it'd be a total disaster. So it would have to be the perfect partner. This is a tough one. Well, that's me. We can't make a public announcement, but we don't have any leads for a quick marriage. What other choice do we have? I mean, I'm surprised it didn't come up. Like, we could say his wife died, but, like, then do we have to have, like, a funeral? We could say it was a private, cremation, and she'd been sick, and he just didn't want to talk about it. Like, she's been sick for a while, and he hasn't mentioned it, and now she's dead, and then, like... I mean... Convenient that you've been telling this guy, bring your wife, oh, she's tired. Oh, she's sick. Oh, she's shy. Oh, she's dead. Did I, like... Huh. That's kind of usually when they know that you're full of shit. When you call into work. You're like, I'm sick. My mom died. My grandma died. My dog died. My grandma's dog's, horse's, sister's, cousin's brother died. I'm dead. I died. And then they're like, you're basically gonna quit, right? Like, they kind of know. Like, at that point, Two options came to mind. Pretend she's dead. We could say you're living your own lives. I would have just said we could say she's... It's obviously I could pretend to be your wife. But, and it's also, I have a guide. But I actually think it'd be funnier if... Like, it would have been say she's dead. Why is that not an option? Come on. I don't know why it bothers me it's not an option, because clearly then it changes the whole entire relationship with him and the route, but... And for it to really... Oh, I can pretend to be your wife. That's what we chose. And for it to really work, we'd have to make a public announcement, so... Of course, I understand. Then it's decided. I'll pretend to be your wife until further notice. What? He shouted out and shot up from his chair. How can you just say that so decisively? Because it's clearly the best way for you to keep your secret. My first thought was, does Monsieur S.A. have any friends or acquaintances that'd be willing and able to marry you? But no. Then I thought we could use a temp agency to find someone to pretend to be your wife, but that's an extremely short-term solution. Sooner or later, your secret would definitely get out that way. That kind of worker handles all sorts of jobs, after all. True. Whoever I hired to be my wife might get another job as someone else's wife later on, which would just cause more trouble. I volunteer as tribute. I'll pretend to be your wife, Shelby. Like, can we actually get married? And, like, do we have a contract? And I'll just live in your house, and we don't actually have to live like husband and wife, and you can do whatever you want to do, and, like... I will absolutely... Oh, Shelby's so wonderful. He is the best husband because I get to do whatever I want and I have half his money. I mean, it's a business arrangement. I'm okay with that, Shelby. You're hot. That's basically what's happening here. All right, I'll just pretend to be your wife, and then we're really going to fall in love and get married. Exactly. But as your employee, my fate is linked directly to the fate of the company. I've never dated anyone else, and I'm not planning on dating anytime soon, so there's no problem. I'm not sure I'd go quite that far. Why are you acting like you've come up with the world's most perfect plan? Huh? But haven't I? This way you don't have to disrespect your client and your company's future is secure. He's like, huh, what? Huh? And she's like, this is awesome. He's like, oh, why did my heart skip a beat? Look at us, we're glowing with hearts, it's cute. But what about you? What about your feelings? I don't have feelings. What about them? I mean, what about your parents? What would they think about you pretending to be my wife? Huh? Like you said, I'd just be pretending, so why would they care? Besides, they live far away. Trust me, they wouldn't get involved. Oh, they wouldn't get involved. There's nothing to worry about there. Far away was an understatement. In reality, they were up in Celestia, and they didn't exactly have a human sense of morality. Plenty of Lord Jupiter's exploits would be considered truly scandalous by human standards. The gods don't care about that. I really do hope that Peter is actually Jupiter, like, fucking around being a human, and not, like, Jupiter's brother, because he said something about my brother or whatever, and it's like, it just makes me sad if he's like, oh yeah, I was a god, and then I came down here and, like, playing around. Like, that's not as fun as, like, Jupiter poking around down here being like, what are you up to? I'm curious, I'm bored, I got nothing better to do, and was, like, down here, like, trying to follow you. And then, like, just happen and be like, I got a job as a cameraman because I'm good looking, and then doesn't know what the fuck he's doing, and then, like, is freaked out about, like, women chasing him in the humor, like, what the fuck? Like, I just really want that. And I'll be sad if it's just, like, you know, because he made a comment about, oh, no, my brother, like, whatever, and I really want Jupiter to be the awkward nerd, like, you know what I mean, like, doesn't understand shit about the human realm and is just poking around following us. You know what I mean? It just would have been it should be so much better. Come on. Game, don't disappoint me now. You've got my hopes way the fuck up. So don't disappoint me now. Anyway, the gods don't care about that. My goal is to get that promotion, right? And I can't exactly get it if the company goes under. But marriage is supposed to be a once-in-a-lifetime sort of thing, right? I can't ask you to go through with such a life-changing event on a whim. We're not really getting married, Shelby. Jesus. Don't worry about me. I'll be fine. After all, I'm Cupid. Eventually, I'd have to return to Celestia. I have no personal concept of marriage, so to me, it's just like playing a role. To be honest, it kind of sounded like fun. I like the fact that she's like, I don't understand this. Seems like a good time. That's a typical god response. They're like, human shit's weird and kind of neat. This sounds fun. Let's do it. Oh, but if you don't think I'm a good candidate, I'm happy to withdraw from consideration. No, that's not it. Obviously, you'd be helping me out in a major way. It's just that... If you think it would help, then that's that. Let's work together to make a fake... let's work together to be fake married for as long as you need. I held out my hand so he could shake and make it official. Mr. Snail just stood there frozen until the time where people are like, oh, give your wife a kiss, come on! That's weird. Don't make people do sexual things in front of you. Like, a kiss on the cheek and everything doesn't have to be sexual, but, like, it's weird when you're like, go ahead, kiss her! Come on, kiss her, come on, kiss her, huh? Put your tongue down her throat. Like, you know what I mean? Like, don't make people kiss if they don't want to. Some people don't want PDA, but that's gonna come up. You know it. Someone's like, why don't you just have sex with your wife in front of us right here? And they're gonna be some weird voyeurs and shit, and, like, make it awkward, and... I'm just saying, come on. You know it's going somewhere near that range. No, wait. Let's just slow down and think about this. And do you really think we can play the role of a couple in love? We lived together during Parasite House, but we're basically strangers. We don't know each other's habits or preferences, or... Whips out the sheet. Actually! Oh, then we should probably live together, huh? What? I love how this is making him so awkward. And she's like, oh, we should... I love this. I like that she's got the balls in this relationship, and he's like, huh? What? I don't... what? This is... What? You need a wife, right? Uh-huh, I'll be your wife. I don't know how to do this. I like it. I like that he's a little bit of a stuttering mess. It's cute. We're usually the stuttering mess. The guys are like, hey, and we're like, I'm here. Which would literally be me, so, like, But, like, sometimes I want a main character who's got fucking stones that I don't have, so here we go, yeah. After all, you said someone had been snooping around, right? Living together would throw them off the trail, too. It's actually perfect. Living together is the best way to play our parts to the fullest. Plus, swanky house. Huh? I hate the idea of people sneaking around and spying on you in secret. What Let's show those jerks who's really in charge. Once they see you really do have a wife, I'm sure they'll give up and slither away. We just need to keep it up until then. His two goals were to convince his client that he was married and to get those dumb paparazzi off his back. Living together was the best solution for both of those things. In fact, I couldn't see any other way forward. Clarice is going to miss us. He's like, oh god! For his part, Mr. Snail was frowning even more than usual. I could tell he still had serious doubts about the whole idea. Maybe he just doesn't think I'm reliable enough. I'd be pretending to be the wife of the president of the Cupid Corporation. But I was only a second-year employee, so maybe he just didn't have enough confidence in me. That's not it. He just doesn't know how to deal with ladies. Please don't worry, sir. You just need me to do my part at work work meals, okay. You just need me to do my part at work meals and dinner parties and stuff, right? I'll be sure to practice. Oh, but my table manners might need some work, so could you help me with that? I promise I'll work hard and learn properly. No, that's not the issue here. Also, if you remember, I've already been photographed and labeled as President Shelby Snail's wife. That's right. Exactly. So I'd say I'm the perfect fit for this role. Of course, I realize I have to keep it a secret from my friends and coworkers, or they'd certainly start asking questions. If they ever found out, I'm sure they'd be shocked at the lie. That you were never actually married, I mean. And you really aren't forcing yourself to do this. Of course not. I want to protect the company, too. As Cupid, it's my duty to connect as many people as possible. This company is the best way to do that, so I want to keep it safe. What are you going to tell Clarice? I'm moving out to go live with Shelby and be his wife, but shh, don't tell anyone. What do you... Well then, if I really do want to protect the company, I guess this is the best option we have. It looked like Mr. Snail was finally relenting. He sighed and looked up at me. All right. I would appreciate it if you'd take on this role. I like the fact that we weren't like, I'll be your wife. Okay. He was like, what? No, but, huh? Whew, but we have to live together. Well, then I'll just move in. I love it. But I insist on treating it as part of your job. So we'll have a contract drawn up and we'll decide on an additional salary. Sweet! If you find any of it not to your liking, we'll cancel the entire thing immediately. Is this acceptable? Yes, absolutely. I gave him a sharp salute. His face was an inscrutable mixture of emotions. One thing was clear, though. He'd obviously resigned himself to his fate. Yeah, being fake married to us. Cool. Yay. Oh my god, that's our washing machine back there. Where do we... Okay, it's really kind of funny. They live in Lost York. You'd have a washing machine, a stackable washing machine, and dryer at least. We don't hang our clothes, we use dryers. So, like, that's funny that the washing machine's back there behind the couch. I never noticed that. Anyway, I can't really go into the details, but at least for a while, I won't be staying here. I went straight home after work. Obviously, I didn't tell her everything, but I let Clarice know that I wouldn't be home for a while. For now, I'd be living at Mr. Snail's second home. In other words, the same place where we shot Paradise House. Parasite House. Why did I say Paradise? Well, it was kind of paradise. We had all of our boys there. It was like a man harem. All right. The president himself had his own place where he usually stayed, but apparently it wasn't appropriate to have a roommate there. Besides, he bought his second home as a place to entertain guests, so it was the perfect place for him and his wife to meet clients. It's funny because they say appropriate for him to have someone there. I'm assuming maybe it's like a one-bedroom. Because he said it's a place for singles, and I don't know if it's it's a singles building, because then people would see him going in and out of that, or be like, wait, I see him, his neighbors would know him and be like, but he's here and it's a singles building. You know what I mean? Plus, I don't really think you can have a singles building. I assume they mean more it's like a bachelor pad, like, where, yeah, if you went in, it's absolutely a woman does not live here. You know what I mean? Like, you could usually tell, you walk in and be like, yes, this is a man. Even if he had a professionally designed, it'd be very masculine, manly, like, no trace of a woman. They're not a single fucking anime pillow around. Weird. I don't understand. No, I meant, like, well, of course, like, a man, like, with hot 2D men on it. You know? And he's got his waifu body pillow, maybe, but, like, and it's probably at least a one-bedroom, so then it's, like, inappropriate for you to stay here because we'd have to sleep together, where at the Parasite house, you know, you can have your own room type of a thing. Anyway. Which was why Parasite House was chosen as the ideal location to stage Operation Pretend Marriage. So, you can't get into the details, huh? Well, if it's what you want, then I guess it's fine by me. It is. I'm not sure how long I'll be gone. Maybe a month or two, but I promise I'll be back eventually. Oh, and of course I'll keep paying my share of the rent, so don't worry about that. Well, that's good at least. I assume you won't mind if I bring guys home once in a while then. I mean, you do that even when I'm here, so... I started packing up my travel bag. The house had all the normal daily necessities, so I just grabbed clothes and makeup. There's not enough room for me to bring everything I want, but I can just come back and grab more later. She hopped over to me with a confused look on his face. After a second, he realized I must be headed somewhere. He hopped into the middle of my clothes. Apparently, he was coming with me. Since Clarice was still standing there, I couldn't say anything to him, so instead I just closed up the bag. I had my clothes, and everything I needed to get started. Okay, I'm off. It would take me like a month to move all my damn clothes. Like, I have so many clothes. Wait, you're leaving right now? Yep, I've got a car coming to pick me up. After our meeting, we'd worked out the details. A moving company would have raised suspicion, so Mr. Snail would pick me up. Just as I had mentioned my ride to Clarice, I heard a car pull up in front of the apartment. Oh, that must be him. Okay, Clarice, see you later. She's like, him? I gave her a quick wave and headed out the door with the bag in hand. I hoped that the next time I saw the apartment I'd grown to love so much, all the trouble would have passed. So, someone came to pick her up, and she's not going to be home for who knows how long. Did she land herself a boyfriend? If so, I'll have to do everything I can to support her. Things are finally starting to get interesting. I love how Clarice is like, oh my god, she's got a man! I'm not going to be back for a while. So you met this guy, fell in love, and you're going to basically move into his house already. Like, we move fast. I mean, we're basically pretending to be married, so. Around 8 o'clock at night, Mr. Snail had just finished helping me bring in my luggage. Phew, that should do it. Thanks a bunch. Of course. And here's the finalized contract. The paperwork was labeled Spouse Proxy Service Purchase Order and include Proxy Service Purchase Order. Wording on that. Okay. And included a non-disclosure agreement along with it. It had clearly defined work hours, along with a list of expected duties, and a stipulation that extra tasks would earn extra pay. What kind of... Shelby, you mean the extra tasks? Like, I can't imagine the conversation that's gonna happen when we actually make out with him or something. He's like, wait, do I have to pay for this? You're like, Shelby, for fuck's sake, stop it. You have sex with him. Is this... How much is this gonna run? Pretending to be your wife. I'm not a hooker, Shelby. Jesus. Wait. The president sure is thorough when it comes to stuff like this. What other things is he thorough on? Oh, God. Stop me! Anyway. Finally started to sink in that, along with all my normal work, I'd actually be pretending to be his wife. I flipped through the contract. When I got to the detailed compensation section, my eyes nearly popped out of my head. Are these numbers right? You're sure I should be earning this much? I'd say it's a fair rate, and this is a private matter, so it's coming out of my own personal funds. In other words, the company wouldn't be paying for it directly. He really does take everything so seriously. Also, hi, Jesus. Then I'll make sure to work hard and earn my keep. I grabbed a pen, signed the papers, and handed them back to Mr. Snail. I appreciate that. For now, I need to head back to the office. You're free to spend your evening however you wish. Huh? But it's already 8 o'clock. And that's true, which means there are still 4 hours left until the day is officially over. So he works till like midnight, comes home, gets up and goes to the office by 5 a.m. Okay, Shelby, we're gonna need to work on this. Mr. Snail really is a true workaholic. To him, 8 o'clock meant there was still plenty of time left in the day. The funny thing is, but he's the boss you almost don't want to work for. You think that 8 o'clock at night is an acceptable time to still be working? But he's like, no, everybody else leaves at 5. That's cool. Like, because could you imagine 5 to midnight? Those are your hours. 5 a.m. till 12 a.m. No. And then I got an hour-long commute, so I get home at 1 a.m. and then I gotta get up and go to work. Like, I got an hour to sleep. He's like, you know what? Why don't you just stay here for 24 hours? Dude! What are we, a fire department? That's not how it works. We don't work in shifts like this. No. But at least he doesn't expect us to do that, but he's crazy. I'll probably be back before 1. I'm not sure exactly when, though, so there's no need to wait up for me. Yeah, damn right. A dinner with the clients in 3 days, and we'll host them here. Please make all necessary arrangements by then. Considering how much time you spent here during Parasite House, I assume you know your way around the place. Huh. So you already want to use the house for a dinner party? Indeed. I mentioned bringing my wife, but they were surprised that my shy and sickly wife would want to leave the house. And if we did go out or even got a private room, we'd be risking the possibility that some reporter might snap another photo. If it were just the back of your head like before, that'd be fine. But if they got a shot from the front, it'd be all over. And so I realized it'd be much easier to keep our secret if we had dinner here, and extended an invitation. So do I have to cook or can I hire Gil to do it? I know a chef I can... Oh, that's him. I know a chef I can trust to cook for us. Of course, if hosting the party is too much of a strain, I'll come up with another plan. No, not at all. You can leave all that to me. I've always wanted to host a dinner party. We actually had lots of parties at our place during college, but usually Gil or Claris took care of everything. So this would be my first time playing host. That's such a nice house, too. Started getting excited just thinking about it. I see. Well, that's good then. Mr. Snell breathed a sigh of relief and seemed to relax a bit. As the president, he could have just ordered me to do it, but he's always so considerate, so he must have felt really guilty. Thank you, and I'm very sorry for making you do this. But you're not, I offered, plus the amount of money you're paying me is beyond compensation enough. Don't be sorry. The fate of the entire company is resting on this project, after all. I suppose it is a project, isn't it? And that's an excellent way of putting it. The president allowed himself to smile just a bit, but quickly turned serious again. If it's not too much trouble, feel free to refamiliarize yourself with the house before the party. They'll likely assume you picked out the decor and comment on it accordingly. If you want to change anything, just let me know. I can arrange to bring in contractors to decorate however you like. Anyway, I should get going. We can also redecorate his house. This is awesome! I need to find a rich man who wants a pretend wife. I can redecorate your house, and then we sleep in separate bedrooms. I'm getting paid for this. I just have to be like, oh, he's so wonderfully great, and I don't actually have to have sex with you. This is... I don't know. This is a really good job. Yes? Sign me up, I guess? Well... Okay, take care. I mean, but also, in this case, we get to fall in love with Shelby, and that doesn't seem like a bad thing either. Right. We should have been like, see you later, honey! What? I'm just... Okay. He walked out the door, and I heard him start up his car and drive off. Standing there alone, I checked the time again. It's already 8 o'clock. I guess I already knew that. I thought maybe we'd have a chance to make dinner and eat together, but he'd left before I could even suggest it. I was sure he'd be having a jelly drink or protein bar for dinner, as usual. Maybe I should try making him something tomorrow, so he can at least have a proper breakfast. I only had 3 days to figure out how to act like I'd been with him for the past 4 years. And to do that, I'd have to spend more time with him. But wait. 4 years ago, I was technically still a teenager. So probably like 21. Well, or unless you're saying teenager 19. You know what I mean? Because then technically, you're still a teenager. Going by normal human time, I'd only been at the company for 2 years. Although obviously I was much, much older. Oh well. It's not like I have to tell them my actual human age. I'll just pretend to be a little bit older. Or your actual human age is like 6, though, because, like, you've only been in the human realm to go to college and then doing here, so you've really only been in the human realm for, like, maybe 6 years. You know what I mean? But Mr. Snail is really thoughtful. He's fine with changing the entire decor to fit his wife's taste. It's clear that when he does something, he goes in the whole 9 yards. But I actually like the decor, so I'll just leave it as is. Wow. Maybe I should place some flowers or at least add a few things of my own to make it look like people actually live here. If we're going to pretend to be married in order to protect Mr. Snail's secret, I want to do everything I can to make it work. The kitchen looks too clean, for one thing. I decided to make dinner in order to make it look like it actually gets some use. Chee! Chee! Poor Chi, we left him in our bag. Ooh, whoops! I totally forgot about Chi. Chi's cries from my bag reminded me that I brought him with me. He's like, suffocating, find Chi corpse in our bag. And that's how my married life with Mr. Snail began. He was almost never home. A lot of the time, he wasn't even in Lost York. He was busy flying around to meetings all over the place. And when he wasn't traveling, he stayed at the office till past midnight. Then he left the house before I got up in the morning. As the day of the dinner party approached, we only ever really communicated via email and messages. Hello there, Snail. Thanks for inviting us over today. I'm thrilled that you could make it. This is going to be interesting. I was there welcoming our guests on my own. She was on standby in the bedroom before making her entrance, to match her reputation as being shy and sickly. And this was totally her idea. It never would have even occurred to me. And the truth is, she'd planned the entire evening single-handedly, which meant I could relax and focus on our guests. But this would be the first time a client would meet my wife, so I was still nervous regardless. Yes, good evening. We're very excited, you know. So, where's that significant other of yours? Gil in a wig. Shelby's like, wait. She's like, ha ha. Anyway. And she'll be along soon enough. As you know, she's quite shy, so it takes her some time to work up the nerve to come out. It'd actually be funnier if they put Ryuki. Whatever. Because we're gonna, the weird thing is, Gil and Raoul. Yeah, okay. Shelby and Ryuki. It's such an odd pairing. That'd be funnier. Ryuki would probably look amazing in a goddamn winged dress, though, so. My word, so she really is just like you described her. It's really quite adorable, if I'm being honest. This would be me. Be like, do I have to? Can I just stay in my room the whole time? No. I've told her all about you, so she's very much looking forward to meeting you. And please be patient with her. I led the guests to their seats, then headed for the bedroom. I wonder how we're dressed. Are we dressed normal? I want us to have a totally different, I quietly knocked on the bedroom door. As soon as I entered, I froze up and found myself at a complete loss for words. All I had to do was let her know we were ready, and yet... Oh, is everyone all set? As she turned to look at me, I caught a whiff of some kind of elegant perfume. She looked completely different from normal. She had somehow perfectly captured the essence of a president's wife. I'm good at my job, bitch. I'm supposed to be the wife of a successful president, right? So I went with a more ladylike outfit. What do you think? Do we get to see it? Well, yes. Not bad. I mean, I suppose it looks fine. Just fine. He's like, God, you look amazing. Great. Oh, and it just occurred to me, but should I be wearing a wedding ring? I'd totally forgotten about that. I did have one I wore when I went for media interviews and things like that, but it seems wrong somehow to ask an unmarried woman to wear a wedding ring, especially to deceive others. It was a little too late to be worrying about the ethics of the situation, but I felt like some things just shouldn't be done. No, I don't think that's necessary. If they ask, just say you're having it resized. Oh, all right. Well, we shouldn't keep our guests waiting. Shall we go? She was wearing a light red lipstick and her smile was more reserved than normal. She slipped her arm around mine. She was so soft and warm. She was the image of pure femininity. This is bad. It had been years since I'd been with a woman like this. I'd completely forgotten how it felt. Oh, yeah. You're gonna fall hard, aren't you? We're gonna slowly fall for you, but you just tripped and fell down the fucking stairs already. Damn. All these years I'd done nothing but focus on my work. And because of that, I hadn't made personal connections with any woman. I hardly remembered what the sensation was like. Oh, good lord. If I'd known it would be like this, I would have put some effort into preparing for it, when it was too late for that. I cleared my throat in an attempt to rid myself of the embarrassing emotion, and then started forward toward the door. It's going to be cute because then he's going to be a little bit of a stuttering, awkward mess, and they're going to be like, oh, he's so enamored with his wife. It's like it's like their new love. Oh, so cute. Yeah, trust me. It's showtime. I want to see our dress. Oh, look, we're so cute. Look at the way he's looking at us. Like, I'm sorry, we're adorable, super cute. I do love her so much. I think she might be one of my favorite MCs just because she still kind of has like, you know, she still has the saucer eyes, but they're done to the point where she's just, instead of being like, I'm cute, like she's cute and adorable, she's like so pretty. She's super pretty and she doesn't look 12 or like cutesy. She's like adorable pretty, you know what I mean? But like she does, well, not even that. She's got a cuteness, but it's a pretty cuteness. Like there's a hint of cute in her pretty or beautiful, where most of the time it's like, oh, she's a pretty, but it's mostly cute. And like sometimes you just don't want to be cute. I'm tired of always being cute. Sometimes I want to be the sexy motherfucker, but we can't always be Minerva. Okay, we're never gonna get to be Minerva. But like at least this is good. Like she's beautiful. Like she's so beautiful. Just a hint of cuteness. And it's like a sweet, pretty. I just love it. She's slightly different, you know. She hits more in that like not cutesy realm. And her saucer eyes are not really saucer eyes. They're just slightly bigger eyes. Thank you. Anyway, but also look at the way he's looking at her. And she actually is wearing a wedding ring, despite the fact that she says she's not. So, it's funny. But like, look at the way he's looking at us. It's so cute. I love it. Thank you both so much for waiting. Mr. Snail and I walked into the living room together. When our guests saw me, they gasped out loud. Ah, so this is the rumored wife we've heard so much about. My heavens, you're absolutely gorgeous. We've heard so much about you. It's an honor to finally meet you. I'm very pleased to meet you too. I'm Spacey Snail. Thank you so much for visiting with us today. We're Spacey Snail, isn't that cute? It's our pleasure, I assure you. I'm so happy to meet you. I could feel his passion in his firm handshake. For my part, I shot Mr. Snail a feeble glance. I was supposed to be the timid, frail Mrs. Snail. I had to appear as if I relied on my husband for everything. I have to make sure not to forget that once we sit down to eat, too. I could easily get careless and start talking the way I normally would. I committed myself to making sure that didn't happen. I apologize for missing out on meeting you so many times due to my unfortunate condition. But I really am glad to finally meet you. Please, make yourself at home. I gave them my best elegant but delicate smile, and they just smiled back at me in return. Things seemed to be off to a good start. If I could keep up this act as a president's wife, everything might turn out okay. I just feel like by saying that we jinxed it. I mean, there's obviously going to be a point where things come out and then we're like, but I really am in love with him, so I don't know. But the truth is, feeling kind of anxious for a totally different reason. I was more worried about saying something to upset or offend them than I was about having our lie exposed. Our guest today was the president of a famous jewelry brand. As a bridal advisor, I was perfectly aware of just how popular the products were among our members. I didn't want to say something rude and hurt our relationship. I saw why Mr. Snail was so reluctant to bring in someone else. No wonder he's had so much trouble finding a compatible partner. The president's wife has to support him in any given social setting. It sounds old-fashioned, but it's still pretty important. His real wife would constantly be going back and forth with lots of different businesses. The pressure must be crazy. I'm sure his wife feels the same way. I should learn as much from her as I can. I looked over at Mr. Snail and smiled. I could tell how nervous he was in that moment. But the setting itself was surprisingly relaxed, and dinner was served. Mr. Snail had arranged for a trusted personal chef to prepare the meal. As we ate, we made friendly small talk. The full-course meal was really impressive, with lots of items I'd never had before. I made sure not to get too aggressive with it. After all, I was supposed to be weak and reserved. If I suddenly started eating like a professional, I'd lose all credibility. So I made sure to only take small portions as I ate. Honestly, it made me a little sad. Yeah, I'm not even close to full. I hope there are some leftovers. That's all I could think about as I did my best to eat with grace. I also couldn't help but compare the two presidents. So, I've been dying to ask, how did the two of you meet? Oh yes, I've been wondering about that myself. I'm sure there must be a lovely story there. They were both clearly eager. I looked to Mr. Snail. It was time to move on to the next phase of our plan. He nodded at me slightly as if to reassure me, then took the lead in the conversation. She said, oh, actually, we lived in the same neighborhood when we were children. This was the story we'd come up with earlier. If we said we met as students, they could look into his former classmates, and the lie could easily be exposed. But as long as we kept it vague, a neighborhood friend can mean anything. Even the next suburb over, for example. They're not gonna bother. I see, the same neighborhood, eh? So, which are you from anyway, Snail? So where are you from anyway? That's it. Wishington. Is that so? Just so happens I'm from Wishington myself! The summers there are to die for. Oh, that's the president's wife, sorry. Is that so? It just so happens I'm from Wishington myself. The summers there are to die for. I completely agree. And the missus and I spent quite a few warm nights in the local parks. Wonderful, wonderful. So you two have been together for quite a long time, then. Yes, but I was sick a lot, so I wasn't able to go outside as much as I would have liked. Shelby was always there to keep me company. As children, I was constantly asking him for favors. I'm sure I was a source of quite a number of headaches for him. I smiled softly to give off the air of a wife that's always relied on her husband, and leaned on Mr. Snail's arm. The president twitched a bit at my touch, but he managed to appear calm as he nodded. Yes, that's true. She certainly was a handful back then. But then, that's what I loved about her. So that explains why you never brought her with you anywhere. I understand completely. Anyway, I was just curious about her. I'd always heard how devoted you were, but apparently nobody had ever seen her. Well, yes, I just love her so much. I wanted to keep her all to myself. Plus, I'm sick and frail and I can't handle things. He was clearly trying to brag, but there was clear hesitation in his voice. It was obvious how embarrassing this all was for him. But for them, I was sure it just made things all that more convincing. The two of them were smiling openly at us. I would have done the exact same thing. She's your precious princess, if you'll pardon me for being a little forward. That's right. And we're so pleased that you let us meet your darling princess. I'm just sorry it took so long for me to finally let you meet her. And I'm sorry it took me so long to work up the courage to show myself. Since I spend so much time inside, I'm afraid I'm a bit lacking in social graces. I was worried about coming off as rude. I smiled and gently placed my hand on Mr. Snail's. I'm just glad that the first people I've properly met after all this time are so kind. Thank you so much for today. Oh? Has it really been that long? Well, then it's an honor to be present at the debut of your princess. Yes, I hope that our relationship will only continue to grow from here. The pleasure has been all ours, of course. Yes, I certainly wish for the same thing. The time felt right, so I softly cleared my throat. This was the signal that Mr. Snail and I had agreed on earlier. Spacey, are you feeling all right? Oh, is something the matter? I'm sorry, it's just my cough tends to flare up around this time of night. It's really nothing, but... I pretend to struggle to smile, then weakly place a handkerchief over my mouth. This was our plan to discourage them from asking to see me again or introduce me to other acquaintances of theirs. We needed to reinforce the reason why Mr. Snail's reclusive wife had never appeared in public for the last 4 years. We wanted something that felt realistic without coming off as rude, and this was the plan we'd come up with. She could have also put on like a wig and they might have noticed it was a wig, but then I'm like, let's not talk about it because maybe she has cancer or something. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? And then when we go out later, then they're like, then they run into you, aren't you? And you're like, oh no, I'm her personal nurse. Yeah. Like the other nurse is I'm going out for some shit. You know what I mean? I'm her sister. Hey, I really did feel guilty for lying to them, but it was necessary to keep the larger lie from entering the public sphere. I felt like we were putting on a play. The Wife of Mr. Snail or something like that. Great. At that moment, dessert was being brought in from the kitchen. There was quite the selection to choose from. Tiramisu, sorbet, and mousse were all placed in front of the others. But of course, the sickly wife only had enough appetite for a bit of sorbet. The dinner party had gone off without a hitch, and we escorted the couple out of the house with a smile. Once we were alone, I changed back into my normal clothes and sank onto the sofa in my room. I'm completely wiped out. I figured that pretending to be a president's wife would be tiring, but I had no idea just how exhausting lying could be. I felt terrible for lying, and I'd never even caught a cold before, so pretending to be frail was a real challenge. But I was a wife who'd never been seen in 4 years, and I couldn't mess with that backstory. It was way too late to change now. I do wish I could have eaten more of that dinner, though. Even though it was a full-course meal, all I had to eat was the soup, the salad, and a bit of the sorbet. The main course was steak, fish, and pasta! And I couldn't touch any of it! It was my own idea, of course, so... Can't have a wife that's been too frail to leave the house for the past 4 years chowing down on a giant steak. But the end result was that I was absolutely starving. I've been a human for 6 years now, so I'd gotten pretty used to the rhythm of their normal human life cycle. See, she's like, oh, we can't talk about my actual human age. Your human age is 6. So, like, it's going to be inappropriate no matter what, girl. So naturally, I got hungry just like anyone else, and my stomach would even growl. I'm sure Aunt Minerva would have been shocked. I wonder if there are any leftovers. I headed to the kitchen to see if there was anything left. Shelby banging the other president's wife on the kitchen counter. I'm just kidding. Please. He can't even handle touching us. And when I got there... What is he doing? Mr. Snail was out on the terrace, sitting on the couch with his head between his hands. Sir? Oh, it's you. You should probably not call me sir in the house. It's weird. He jerked a bit, but looked relieved when he saw it was just me. He obviously didn't say that, but I'm just saying, that seems weird. Still, he looked more exhausted than usual. Are you okay? You look tired. Yes, I'm fine. I'm sure you must be tired too. I'm sorry for putting you through all this. But thank you for your help. I've eaten with them so many times and I've never seen them that happy. Every time we met, they'd mention how much they wanted to meet my wife, so I really owe you for today. I'm glad to hear that, but you really do seem to be kind of down. Are you sure you're feeling all right? I was just reflecting on how terrible I've been. He sighed and looked at me with a sense of guilt in his eyes. I'm so sorry for making you lie like that. An unmarried young woman like you shouldn't have to pretend to be someone's wife. I'm sorry for burying you in all this. I really don't mind at all. I get to help protect the company, and I'm getting paid to do it. It's 2 birds with 1 stone. But... Seriously, please don't worry about it. I could totally understand how it'd be if I were human, but as Cupid, my entire existence revolves around helping others find love. I'd be like, seriously? Look, I know you feel guilty, but I'm telling you, don't. This is fine for me. Don't try to be all upset about my honor and shit. I don't have any. Stop. Like, listen. Trust me. Don't be that guy. The whole ethical dilemma about asking an unmarried woman to do this doesn't apply to me. The company's survival is what matters. Lying is pretty exhausting. That much was true. But that's nothing compared to the thought of the company going under. I appreciate your dedication, really. Let me know if there's anything I can do to make this easier. Whatever I can do to help. Well, in that case... I was thinking about what to say, and just at that moment, my stomach let out a mighty growl. Huh? Was that... Please tell me you didn't hear that. The truth is, I'm kind of starving right now. I admitted I was hungry since I didn't get much to eat at dinner. He was caught off guard for a second, then burst out laughing. Come on, don't laugh. I hardly got to eat anything. No, you're right. I can't imagine how tough it is to play such a fragile wife. Seriously? That much food isn't nearly enough for someone as active as me. So all I want right now is to eat till I pass out. I glared at him with annoyed embarrassment. Eventually, his own gaze relaxed a bit. I see. Then I'll prepare something for you right now. Of course, that just means I'll warm up whatever the chef left. You're like, please, I don't want a jelly drink, I want real food. Huh? Does that mean there's leftovers? Of course. I had him set aside your share and put it in the fridge. I'll go get it right now. Just sit tight. He headed to the kitchen to warm up some food for me. Before long, the wonderful scent of warming food reached me, and I started to get excited. Perfect place to end it. Background music. Oh! Are we starting a whole new chapter? Work before love. Perfect timing. We start a whole new chapter tomorrow. Well, not tomorrow, the day after. Anyway, I will see you guys next time. Remember to give the video a big thumbs up and subscribe to see more.